English literature revision video, and this video will run through the character analysis of Macbeth, and it will cover pretty much everything you need to know about Macbeth, but also perhaps making you aware of a different way of thinking about his character as well, so you can propose some different things in your exam. So this slide is going to require you to listen and to make notes. So you can stop and start this video as much as you like, but it would be a really good idea if you could perhaps stop and start and also make some revision cards from this slide. So I'm just going to explain in quite a lot of detail actually about the character of Macbeth. So he's a character who massively changes throughout the play. And he changes his way through the influence of others. So he does so many things in the play to cause corruption and tragedy, and he hurts everyone pretty much in the play, including himself. So at the beginning of the play, in Act 1, Scene 2, he's pretty much called a bold person, and he's rewarded in this start. The characteristics that he shows at this point, are those of, being smart and noble. So this is all down to, how Macbeth has fought in the play. He's quite a stable character at this point, and he is worthy of his promotion. So during the course of the play, we see that stability in Macbeth gradually decreasing. It starts to sort of continually sort of question his decisions. He's a character that goes from being quite strong to wanting to know answers to things before those situations have even happened. We often see this through how he interacts with the witches. So further on, I think it's Act 4, he goes to the witches and he seeks out reassurance and he wants questions answering before those situations have even taken place. So after becoming king from all the mess he's made of King Duncan, you can see Macbeth's behaviour completely change. He's gone from someone who has a clue about what he's doing to him changing drastically from the beginning to the end. So the play begins to grow much more intense due for Macbeth's want for power. We see how Macbeth he chooses to move from his wife, and he starts to act differently by going to the witches for help instead of anyone that's trustworthy to him. His behaviour and his actions have changed, and he's going into situations with caution. So his distance from Lady Macbeth results in Macbeth's thoughts to be seen throughout his own soliloquies. So again, a soliloquy is, a character being stood on a stage where no other character is on stage, and that itself is a device, and we often see a character's true thoughts, true emotions, and true feelings. So he does not want people to question what he's done because he's already starting to lose power. So it gradually, as the play develops, Macbeth's actions increase and they become so much more worse and significant. And we see this, a good example of this is when he orders the assassins and the murderers to kill Banquo and Fleance. So this is sort of a good part of the play where, people are beginning to take caution of Macbeth's rule, and also at this point as well, it's also the characters that are also going to see Macbeth's rule as being very cautious. So his behaviour at this point, it's ruthless. He's very power hungry, he's blood hungry, and he's a shame to somebody in power. So we think of, what attributes make a good king, and he goes against whatever true sort of qualities that a king has. So it's almost like it is absolutely deluded towards sort of the middle of the play and towards the end. So we constantly sort of, I suppose, compare Macbeth and Lady Macbeth and how they deal with situations. Macbeth isn't a bad person. until he gets greedy and he wants power, without realizing the consequences of his actions. I think there's also a moral message that Shakespeare's trying to portray through this as well. Like, the play often shows people's natural desires, and often overcomes what a true person is satisfied by. So for Macbeth, it's his power and his ambition and his determination to become a king. So this is shown from Shakespeare through the character of Macbeth. So Macbeth, also his character develops when he tells all his noblemen and all the people of importance, when he invites them to come to dinner. And he begins to act very strange because of his actions. So he sees the ghost of Banquo in his apparition, and he moves. At this point, Macbeth is sort of screaming, and he's creating attention for himself. So it's almost Macbeth's crazy behavior at this point is creating a really sort of negative tone, and quite a strange tone. Is, I think, as well, at this point, Shakespeare's using Macbeth's behaviour to sort of send a message to the audience. Perhaps it's a hint that Shakespeare wants Macbeth to perhaps realise his mistakes. Again, his behaviour is drastically sort of deteriorated, and it's different from being a very well-respected soldier to somebody who only cares for power. So Macbeth, I think, is scared of what he's done, and as well, that's had an impact on him. And he starts to sort of, it's that sense of delusion that's overcoming him. So again, in terms of Macbeth's actions, towards the end of the play, we're really seeing, the mess that he has created. This suspicion that other people have around him, and the only way that Macbeth can control that is by slaughtering everybody in his sight. Again, it's that reiteration of Macbeth's changing thoughts that are often showed through his soliloquies. So it's almost as if we could argue perhaps that Macbeth doesn't have the ability to make his own decisions. For the fact he's so reliant upon the witches and what the witches are telling him to determine his future. His gruesome ways are often involved in what he thinks. Killing Duncan, he feels bad about that. He feels a sense of guilt. He's he's trapped in this sort of pool of self-pity. So his pity can be seen when he does not respect Duncan after he kills him. All these are really important devices that Shakespeare is using to show that downfall of Macbeth's character. I think there's a message as well that the audience are supposed to be interpreting Macbeth's greed as well. Banquo's apparition makes him feel scared and worried about his actions. It's a vision of Banquo's soul. It comes due to the thoughts that Macbeth has, and they are really starting to affect him. And the fact that Banquo was a true friend, we see Banquo as being a really good character, and Macbeth has taken his life. So obviously, arranging the murder of his friend and also Fleance, his son. Again, it's that rule of tyranny that we see Macbeth sort of reigning with at this point. Macbeth's thoughts have taken over him. The dying in sort of, I suppose this is sort of stepping in the way of denying the role that he's always wanted. His thoughts, his tyranny, his bloodshed, are all qualities that we can argue, make quite a poor king, quite a poor leader. So he needs reassurance at this point, and he seeks out reassurance from the witches. And he seems to think he's untouchable after he's met with the witches. He's sort of boasting and is bragging about, the secret ways and his power that he has over people. Because remember, nobody knows about the apparitions apart from Banquo, but he's been slaughtered. So I think at this point, the fact he's acting with, he's boasting and he's bragging and he's sort of feeling that he's untouchable. It really shows his carelessness. As he kills all the people in relation to certain issues that he doesn't like, and he seeks advice from people who he shouldn't. For example, the witches and the supernatural. So we see Macbeth summarising his life's work. So, and we see that through the death of Lady Macbeth and her suicide. He doesn't actually dwell too much upon Lady Macbeth's suicide, but he's reflecting on his own life and his own actions. But he doesn't go down without a fight. So throughout all the struggle and the self-doubt and the killing after killing, all of those actions has led him down the same path, where it all begins. So his kingship has been taken away because Macduff beheads Macbeth, and it's Malcolm who takes the throne and who is the rightful heir to the throne. So all these actions that he's thinking that he will get him his place as a king, those have actually also what have specifically caused his downfall as well. So towards the end of the play, it's really good. Macbeth's thoughts and feelings, that they are all important to his overall character. Him being a tragic leader. And it's William Shakespeare as well. We always need to remember that Macbeth is a device. He's not a real character. Therefore, we should not be talking about Macbeth as if he is a real character. But everything is a device that is shown through William Shakespeare. So going from a noble warrior that's shown to be a bloody leader, through the witch's apparitions, through his own greed, think he's unstoppable and selfishness, we see that his character has met the ultimate fate, which is death. So it's all these changing aspects that William Shakespeare uses in Macbeth to show the importance of his character. And we are supposed to be, generating themes, linking themes to Macbeth's character. As you can see on the image, we've got bravery, we've got a conscience, we've got ambition. But it's important to establish that his character doesn't change. And the way, you will do really well in an exam is making sure that you are sort of saying to that examiner that you are aware that Macbeth's character has totally developed and it's totally changed. So I think in terms of Shakespeare's messages that he's trying to show through Macbeth, perhaps he's trying to say, too much greed may not be a bad thing, but it's the kind that Macbeth has that can create a lot of problems. And I think he's using the character of Macbeth to educate his audience in terms of morals, and that all the negative attributes and the reliance upon other people to make his decisions, especially the supernatural, he's met his own downfall. The theme of masculinity is really interesting with the character of Macbeth. Again, we see that manliness and the brutality that is fought with at the beginning. And I think at this point, Macbeth is fitting those, those traditional stereotypes of a Jacobean male. But what's important in terms of the role of Macbeth is portrayed as a backbone that supports the entire play itself. So the different interpretations you can take from his actions, and the different morals that we can take from Macbeth's mistakes, are all things that you need to include in your exam response. So moving on to the next slide, we are going to consider some key questions, and we're going to talk about, is Macbeth a tragic hero? So there are a few questions that I want to talk through on these next slides. So is he good? Can we relate to him? Is he consistent in his behaviour? Does he reveal his fatal flaw? And does he evoke pity or fear for the audience and the people reading his play? So before we can answer those questions, we need to establish what a tragic hero is and what qualities a tragic hero has. So tragic characters must be good. It means that they have the ability to make good choices about their actions. They should be like us in some way. So they have characteristics that we can relate to. So they could reflect a person as they are, but also accentuate a person's best qualities. So, for example, in this case, it's Macbeth being a brave warrior at the beginning of the play. They should be consistent in their behaviour. If they start behaving in one way, they can't suddenly just change that and start behaving in a completely different way. And then finally, which you will have studied this device in lessons, a fatal flaw, a hamartia. So this flaw doesn't necessarily make them a bad person, but it's the things that will cause their fall from good fortune that will make them become a bad person. So perhaps too much greed. Okay, everybody is greedy, aren't they? But it's the character of Macbeth that takes that to the extreme. So those are the 4 rules that we have for a tragic hero. So we're going to go through these questions, and you will then have an opportunity to answer this question yourself. So the first question, is he good? So quite a tough one. So on these slides in the boxes, you'll see that there are quotes, and then what I've done is a little summary in italics just under those quotes. So he's introduced to us as a hero. His courage and duty are the foundations for his entire reputation. He's a likable character. But also what's interesting to note in this, for this slide, is the fact that, you know, we are introduced to Macbeth through the eyes of the sergeant, and he is building a legacy, and we really like his character at first. It's almost as if like you want his character to sort of stop there and like, Macbeth, don't sort of develop anymore. You're a good guy right now. But he doesn't, does he? And it's something that overcomes him to make that change, and we've got to work out what that is. Okay. Some of them, if you use an analogy like taking a picture of yourself in year 7 and taking a picture of yourself in year 11, you are the same person, but you are totally different. And I suppose this is a simple analogy that we can apply to the character of Macbeth. He's totally different at the beginning when we compare him to the end of the play. He has, you know, flaws and he has imperfections, but at first we actually really like his character, or we're led to believe by Shakespeare to like his character. That's the whole point of him being introduced through the eyes of somebody else, and the whole point of the promotion, and it being well deserved. So the next one, can we relate to him? So again, there's a key quote in the box. So Macbeth is nervous, which I think makes his character quite real. Everybody at some point in their lives experiences that element of being nervous, and Lady Macbeth does that as well. So I think that's a natural, you know, feeling that anybody would feel at some point in their lives. So as an audience, we are also able to relate to that whole feeling that he's going through. An interesting point, now you don't need to know that sleep is mentioned 34 times in the play, but sleep is mentioned a hell of a lot. And we watch his insomnia unravel with both Macbeth and also Lady Macbeth. It's that lack of sleep, you know, the physical and mental exhaustion that these characters are have put themselves through. Think about his consistency in his behavior. So it's really interesting the way he speaks to people. And it's often when he's having a conversation or when he's having the meeting with the witches, he makes quite a lot of demands. And he wants the witches to speak and to answer these questions and to let me know. He's making all these demands, and he wants answers to situations that haven't even happened. So this links back to that whole concept about the supernatural. And I mentioned in the previous video of, in the Jacobean era and their beliefs that their destiny and their fate has already been mapped out. So the fact that Macbeth is wanting to know the answers to things, but he's going to the witches, the device of the witches, the characters of the witches for these answers, shows that he is trusting the supernatural, which, putting ourselves in the shoes of a Jacobean audience, that is something that would have absolutely terrified the audience. And obviously, linking back to their religious views, as I mentioned in the previous video, people believed in God and praying, and they believed in a heaven. So anything that would go against that would have generated a massive impact within the person watching this play. But yeah, he's wanting to know the outcomes of events before they've even happened. He's demanding the answers. So moving on to the next slide, does he ever reveal his fatal flaw? So there are some quotes. So he talks about desires. And so his fatal flaw, his ambition, is his worst enemy. He's motivated, but it's ambition that overcomes him, that sort of makes us start to dislike his character. And he begins to develop these unlikable traits. So, for example, the bloodshed and the brutality that he is reigning with, going against his religion, slaughtering his king, these worst possible sins that a person could ever commit, Macbeth is carrying out. So we talk about those unlikable traits, and that is what we mean by that. And that all links to his ambition and his drive to become a king. The last slide, does he evoke pity or fear? So at the end, when the English army are approaching Macbeth's castle, he realizes that he's outnumbered. He can't possibly compete and fight against the numbers of soldiers that are approaching his castle. But he refuses to give up, even though he sort of knows deep down that all hope is lost. But he's lost everything. He's lost his sort of mental stability. He's lost his wife. He's lost his integrity. He's lost his respect. He's lost his heroism. That we saw him being a brave warrior at first, but he doesn't give up, and he still sort of shows that courage right until the end of the play. Okay, so going back to this question, what you could have a go at doing now is perhaps answering this question yourself. So based on the information about character development and all the questions that we've gone through, it would be a really good idea if you could perhaps answer that question in your own time. Please tune into the previous video. It gives you information about the plot, and keep your eyes open for more videos to come that will discuss characters in detail. Thank you for listening.